Hello, back on our Tuesday drawing session, and we're going back to modeling, life modeling, moving models, or basically static models. And this one is about a minute pose, but I guess I'll not finish it in a minute, but I'll try and do it as quick as I can with the rapid method. Now, rapid method would be the file method. So the figure is looking down, which you will see later on, the image, the original image. So we have a axis or a line which goes from the top to the angle. The elbow is here. We've got the elbow down here, and then we have another. On a vertical line, you will have the kneecap here. Now kneecap down here. Head will be somewhere here, the head of the model. It's a female model. Hair, face, I'm treating it like a cone. So I'll have the top of the head with a wrapping method going right down to the elbow. Then another line which connects from the top of the head coming right down here, right down there. And that will be her left arm, which is actually balancing the upper body with this fist here, which is quite strong and as I said, is balancing the body so it doesn't fall. So it will end up here, and then we have a horizontal line where the model is sitting actually. Okay, so we have those bases or basic lines. Now within that wrapping envelope method, so I've wrapped out a line like this. As I said, that will be the angle, the shoulder up here, upper arm, lower arm coming down there. Now on the vertical line, we have the kneecap here and a base where the model is actually sitting. Then we have the, that's her hip. Then we have the, based on that, it's not triangular, but well, up to here it's a triangle shape, if you like. Down here, well, we have almost like a gigantic triangle, but within that top triangle we have the head, upper shoulder here. Then there's a line which connects, which is the spine or the upper body. Then you have the upper arm, lower arm here, and the fist, as I said. And then you have here, we have the thigh and breast here. Then you have torso and calf. It's a little bit of an awkward pose because the foot, it's in an awkward mode and it's profiled, so it's hard to show the strain, because obviously she's kind of although it's a comfortable pose, but still the foot is actually straight, which is where the base of the model is, and you have the kneecap here, and then you have that thigh, which is her right thigh, inside here. So she's sitting with her thigh, with her hip here, she's sitting down here, and then you have the foot, which is actually wrapped up behind the fist. That's the fist here. Then you have the thumb, and the fist is kind of, there's an angle to the fist like this. It's not horizontal, it's like this, because the fist, as I said, it's actually only keeping the balance. So the fist is not in strain, but this foot is in strain. So we need to show that, give that weight that is holding the body so it doesn't fall towards us. Although she's looking down, and of course she's balanced, but still the foot is holding the body there, steady there. And what I feel I've gone a little bit long here from the kneecap to the foot. That distance is not, it's a bit long, but we'll deal with this. Now, once we've done those basic lines, you give it a darker tonal value, which will give me, so it will push that part of the body further back. Then you have the upper torso, and that is wrapped up. So that line here, lose that line of the upper arm, lose it, because it's in the shadow anyway. And then the upper torso also, it's in the shadow. And we have the breast, which shows up here. And she's, as I said, looking down. So right at the top of the head, we have the hair here, which is, again, it's blondish, so I don't want to go too dark on the hair because it's light colored hair, kind of blonde. And then we have the face, which is down here, and the nose itself, which is also looking down. You have the eyes, and you have the upper eye. You see that expression makes her look upset. So every line that makes her look upset. So if I connect them and then I put that, it's basically she looks. Yeah, she doesn't look too happy. So let's keep in mind. Every line that you put on there on the face, it changes the expression of the person. So nostril, and the mouth is so basically so vague, that mouth line, which is actually, it's not even worth putting it because it's in the shadow anyway. And that blends with the upper body, that line there. And then you have the, yes, it's the upper arm, which is here. And there is more of a negative space here, which is that empty space. That's called negative space. And you have the upper arm here. Shoulder. And the arm, which is actually wrapping up the foot here. Now, that's where I've gone wrong. That's why I've said that it feels long, because that calf, or that, well, the calf here and the whole shin needs to be more to the right. And as I'm looking on the head, a vertical line will go, so from vertical line from the nose, we'll just touch the end of the foot. So the foot should come more to the left here. Make the foot smaller. So you see, as you go along, you just adjust as we go along, we adjust the movement of the upper body and the thighs as well. So let's bring the kneecap a little bit more to the left here to match this, the calf here, and also the calf, well, the shin here. We have the shin here, and again, if I squint my eyes, I actually don't see anything here, because it's not, I mean, it's lit in a perfect way, but it's basically is to show us what is most important. It's the movement and the shadows we are putting here. I work quite a lot with, as you probably understood, with shapes. You have the shape of the upper body, which is a particular, well, kind of a rectangular shape up here. Well, if you want to make it more rectangular, it would be something like this. And the shoulder, which comes here, because within that line which connects the hair to the arm, Now I'm adjusting those lines. Now I'm being a little bit more accurate. Now, and you have the upper arm and the shoulder here. Now, as I said, that's where her breast comes in here, but again, it's about showing the shadows here, which are beautifully connected, and also by darkening those shadows, it gives a very natural color to the body, because obviously the breast has been exposed to the sun, so it's a bit brighter. It's not being exposed, sorry. So it's a bit brighter, but the upper body, it feels like she's going to the beach. So you have a beautiful color, goldish color. So let's do that. And then you have the lower arm here. Lower arm, upper arm. And what I should have done from the beginning was to give a little bit of a distance between the thigh here, the thigh and the arm. So there is a negative space here, right here, between the thigh and the lower arm. And as I said, the fist here. Okay, lower arm, a bit darker here, but right here blends with the body. So a line which will define the inside of the lower arm, but no line here. And that is on purpose, create more of an artistic look to the model, to the modeling, yes. And also simplifies the model, because you don't have to do every line that you see, every little line. And the upper thigh. And here we have a beautiful hand, how the hand is actually turned and is holding the cuff here. So her right hand actually. And the thumb is right under the nose, so the thumb goes right up here, so I can come with the thumb here. And then the 3 fingers are wrapped up here where the cuff, where the turn of the cuff is, which connects with the thigh. And then you have the little pinky. And now the most difficult thing is to show the wrist of her right hand, how it's connected to the elbow. That's the most difficult, because it's turned, it's kind of looking towards us, it's coming towards us. So how do you create that perspective without making it look short and not organic and badly drawn? Well, that's this, to show basically it's coming down here, which is the lower part of the lower arm, or the outside line. Then you have the elbow here, which is actually turned towards that way, and you have the corner, the elbow here. And I think I've gone a little bit too emphasis on that. It's soft. It's softer than that. It's more like this there, not going there as strong there with that angle there. And the inside of the lower of the upper arm, sorry, here. And there's something wrong there. Yes, I think definitely I need to lower that, which is basically the lower arm, the outside part of the lower arm. You know what I'm actually referring to here by looking at it. And what I need to come down a little bit would be that line here, which I don't see the breast because it's been hidden by the thigh here. And lower the hand a little bit more and bring in the foot. Yes, the foot. See, that's the strain that I said to you, that the foot is kind of a strain. I mean, she can handle it. You can see that she's comfortable for a couple of minutes, but you don't want the foot being straight like that, because it's not a very organic way of looking at the foot or being. So it would be more like the foot is and then you have the heel here. There. So the foot, we have the base, which is a horizontal line, and actually the end of the foot, so that line, or where the toes are, close to the toes, on a horizontal line, it will connect with the fist. Then you have the fist here, and that part of the fist, which are the knuckles here, are connected to the black podium, or black, it's a black dress, black drapery here. So I'm not going to create a special line here, connect that line here, or separate that part of the fist to the drapery. So I'm going to deliberately blend blend those lines there. Okay, and then you have the shadow or the dark of the drapery, and not to forget the foot here, the foot of the right leg. So we got the heel, and the foot itself, which is being wrapped up on that side, and you have the shadow of this, the upper arm and lower arm, onto the hip here. So let's create that dark line here, and not forget the negative space here. It's important, and that line, which is the body, which blends there. Okay, and the the knee cup probably a bit further up there, and it's been hidden by the lower part of the arm down here, and coming definitely and straight on a almost like a 45 angle on the right angle here, down here, and then you have the thigh, the right thigh. Now the right thigh, it's further up, so I need to bring the thigh up here because it's got that beautiful angle of turning like this, which has been wrapped. It's kind of wrapping up the body. But not to forget that on a vertical line, the elbow, I've just measured it on the picture, on the original picture, and that is, so the elbow, if on a vertical line, the knee cup goes a little bit further out, so a tiny bit further out. So we got that now. And not to forget shadow, and create that little the cuff, which is being turned like this here, and obviously we have the knee cup here. All right. Okay, well, that's the basis, but of course we need to work a little bit more to show that the head is coming towards us, so a bit more emphasis on the head. And what I see here is that where the upper shoulder is right on a horizontal line to the eyes. So on a horizontal line, the eyes, and the upper shoulder is there. So don't put the eyes. Keep the upper shoulder as your reference point to go to the eyes there. Nose looking down, eyebrow, and curly blonde hair. And let's give that a miss. So we have the line, or we have a line where the head stops or finishes the skull, well, the hair actually, because the skull is here, but that's hair obviously. So let's give it a miss, not to emphasize it too much. In the end of the head here, and then we've got the nose coming down, eyelid, eyebrow, and as I said, the mouth. It's not important to give too much attention to the mouth because it's actually a line which is hidden by the end of the mouth, the end of the nose. and keep that upper arm kind of in shadows here. Now, with a brush, like any brush, I mean, any used brush, oil painted brush, which is used for oil painting, I'm going to use some dust, charcoal dust, and simplify those areas here. Connect that shadow here. Shadow, as I said, completely ignore, well, not ignore on purpose, but ignore because there's no need now to go to the mouth. It's not a portrait. Keep those darks coming here. And I've noticed that I think I probably could elongate a little bit more the head, so coming down here, because that distance from the head to the upper thigh, it's a bit long on me. And take loads of dust and create the muscle here on the upper shoulder. Darken all these areas where it's actually showing where the lower arm starts, the elbow, on the inside of the elbow anyway, and then the wrist here. And you've got the lower, or the connection between the shin and the cuff. Cuff is being hidden here, or that line is actually merging with the thigh, and we have dark shadow here where the upper thigh is. And what I need to emphasize is the heel here of the right foot. Okay, so let's keep and put some darks back onto the body, main body, thorax. Keep it onto a general dark, shadowy area. The chin a little bit lower. Lowering the chin a little bit here. This side of the face is in the shadow, so keep it in a general darker tone. You have the muscle here, right here, which will actually create the collarbone here. The collarbone coming right down here, a little bit of a collarbone structure here to just show where it's actually within that shadow. Just don't emphasize it too much. Keep it light, the collarbone. And that's where it connects with the skeleton here, with that part of the shoulder. Those two bones there. Then we have the breast, as I said here, the cleavage here in the middle. A very soft dark line. That's enough. And then you have the shape of the breast here. Now, what I've noticed is that the kneecap needs to come a bit more rounded, and extend the elbow a little bit further out. There. And as I said earlier on, how to show that you are we're looking at the elbow in perspective, like this. Look at the elbow in perspective, and a bicep. So create a little bit of the outer line of the upper body and the bicep here, and some shadow, which is cast shadow from the head. As the light comes from this side, that's where the light comes from. So you have the shadow of the head on our upper body here. And we have a little bit more of that area here. Don't want that to be confused for the upper thigh. So the line of the upper thigh is down here. So it creates and keep those areas in shadow with a brush. I'm avoiding to use my fingers because, again, the oil from the fingers will get stuck on the paper, and then it will be harder to change things or add more darks or take off darks with a putty rubber. So I'm trying to avoid using my fingers here, but you can do those changes with your fingers. And then you have the shin here, a little bit bigger foot, which is basically comes there, and the foot itself here, and shadow, 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 shadow. So keep it light. Keep this area on a kind of a misty look. Doesn't have to be more detailed. That's good enough. I'm going off my previous line. I'm extending the elbow here, and by extension the kneecap as well. Lowering the kneecap down here and making the foot, or bringing the foot a little bit further out. So making, basically enlarging the foot itself. And then you have the toes. That the toes will show a little bit of the strain that I was talking about. So that turn of the toes down here, I'm emphasizing because it's not as turned as that. They're not gripping the base. So I'm just turning it a little bit like this, so it shows that strain that I was talking about earlier on. To keep the body from falling this way. So that foot here is important, and this is a detail which needs to be emphasized to show, again, as I said, strain here. And heel down here, and the thigh and the calf here. And this is where the cast shadow of the left foot, left leg is cast in here on the right leg. And here as well, the cast shadow of the foot on the leg here. And keep it dark like this. Okay. And possibly bring the shin back a little bit more, just a line of the shin here. There. Nothing need to do any more details on that, and maybe enlarge the thigh here. So bring the calf a little bit further out, further to the left. Calf here. And the hand. The hand is a beautiful detail which I don't want to miss. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it quickly, but then this time I'm going to work on those little details more extensively. So I'll do it quickly. You have the thumb and the index finger. index finger, the three fingers together. The middle finger and the ring finger are blended there together, and you have the index finger there, and the thumb, which was here, not here. That's not the thumb. That's the index finger, and give it a tonal value, a darker tonal value. Now with some, I guess, putty rubber now. It's the time to use some putty rubber to get rid of some of those very, very dark lines, and also create a more accurate, or shape the upper body and the lower body as I see it. And then create that inwards, a vertical line down here, but an inwards force of the fist. Then you have the thumb here, which again, that shows kind of a strain here, the thumb itself. And here we have the knuckles here, which I can show the first two, and that will be enough to suggest that the rest of the knuckles continue there. And the inward line and the index finger here, and the knuckle. Knuckle is kind of a darker here. That's the part of the part of this the lower part of the knuckle. So that from here to the nail. So here we have it, that dark line which separates the knuckle, upper part and lower part, and index finger, middle finger, and the wrist. I guess I need to expand a little bit with the face, the head. I think it's a bit too thin, too narrow, so I'm expanding a little bit, making it a bit wider. Sorry for this moaning of the cat here. She's been fed, but she's moaning. Very moany cat. And hair, and the hand here, the wrist. First of all, we've got the wrist, and that's where the length of the hands, of the wrist to the fingers here. Wrist, 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 and then you have that little tendons, which are quite few, plenty, but we don't see them, so I'm trying to keep it as light as possible. Then you have the two middle fingers here, and the index finger, which is quite long, and it stops here. And the hand itself, sorry, the palm. And do you remember, to show that we are looking, that there's a perspective from the wrist to the elbow that looks too short, but that's because of perspective. So it's not that it's a mistake of in the drawing process, but it's perspective. So we need to keep that in mind and draw with that in mind to show the perspective and not be confused there of bad proportions. I can come and do a little bit of a line here, which is in the thigh. Just emphasize that line where it meets the breast, and kind of a little bit of where the breast is here, which is, don't want to brighten it too much because I don't want to make that the center of attention. But it's a bit lighter because it's been obviously, it's not been exposed to the sun. And then you have the collarbone, and a little bit of light of that muscle up here, which connects with the upper arm, and kind of a lighter tone, and the bicep, just give it a bit more of a width on the bicep here, more of a straight line. Then you have the elbow here, and the palm and hand, the knuckle here, and the highlight of the upper. Milo, sit. And then you have the knuckle here again, and the thumb here. Darker tonal value on the here, which is basically a kneecap and the thigh, darker than the negative space, and darker tone, even darker on the wrist, to the lower part of the arm, wrist and arm here. There. And do you remember we said blondish hair with curly blonde hair? So a little bit of just an indication of that, basically. So light blonde hair, not too dark here, not too dark. And then you have the nose, straight down nose. We don't see the forehead at all because you have the curly hair coming to right on the top of the eyebrow, so we don't see the curly hair. A bit of lighter here, and upper mouth expression, bit of a chin, just brighten it too much, and a lighter tonal value here, which is basically where the base of the neck would be, but we're looking from up, so we don't see the neck obviously, and a tiny light tone here where the collarbone connects this side, left hand side to the right hand side, and a lighter tone with the tone. That's for the other part of the collarbone, and possibly move a little bit further back or low the upper arm here, and there, and also negative shape, a bit more arched here, get that line back. Don't want to cut it onto the face, but it's an expressive. And keep, I think I've gone too dark here. Lost my putty. Found it. Putty rubber. Then you have the upper hand. And you have the knee, the thumb here. And where the wrist is connected to the rest of the arm, of the hand. And the pinky, we have the pinky here. Moving quite low there. But you don't want them to be as bright as that, so I need to push them back a little bit with the line, with the light as well. So here. And that's an increase of the size of the face, so that's good now. Yeah, that makes it a little bit wider, and it gives more of a, so the size of the face is actually better in that sense, because it's as big as, it just matches now with the size of the body, so it's a better face now. in that sense. It's wider, bigger. And you have the thorax and the soft, very soft line which connects the breast to the thorax here, that muscle here. And some highlights, which is the belly, six packs, which they are not there, but that's where they should have been, and some negative space here. Bit more of a negative space. And so a bit more of distance between the arm and the negative space there. And now the heel. Get the heel here, which has been, again, it's in front of the thigh, so it's a bit lighter. And then you have the foot itself, which comes and there and connect now the knee cup, but not too bright, not too much light, because I want to keep them at a specific light tone, but not too bright. A lighter tone, but not too bright. That would be the brightest here. And you have the index finger, as we said earlier on, even longer. And you have the wrist here, wrist, and the upper part of the hand, upper part of the hand, the knuckles. We've got the knuckles here, thumb, and here, and the knee cup. Okay, and shin and cuff, this area. But as I said, don't want to brighten it too much. I will push them back because I want the eye to concentrate here. That's the theme here. Thigh, breast, and the upper torso, the torso basically, and lower that a little bit more. It needs to be a little bit more lowered, this upper part here, and then you have a lighter tonal value where the, as I said, the light hair, the blonde hair is, and lower that too. She's wearing a ribbon, light side of the face, which is right side, lighter as the light comes from the right hand side, as we see the picture. And a little bit of a lighter tone here on the upper arm. We've said, but we need to keep that in check, because that's the cast shadow. The cast shadow comes right up here, so I can keep the cast shadow of the head above her body here, and then lighten that part. And to simplify things, I'm going to connect that line with a background shadow. Don't want too many lines there. Don't want the viewer to get confused with so many lines there. And a bit more detail here, if you like. on the palm itself, and then the little finger here, which takes a different direction from these two here, the ring finger and the middle finger. They are connected as they wrap up the form of the calf here. There. And the index finger itself, which is here. And the thumb. Got the thumb moving upwards like that, and a little bit of the wrist here. Okay, not too much more details because obviously it's not a study, it's a sketch, although I passed the sketch time by a lot, so that's a lot longer video than I was supposed to make. And you have the kneecap here, and the kneecap coming down here, and the kneecap a bit more rounded down there, lower it a little bit more. And here we have the heel, as we said earlier on, but what I need to actually emphasize here is this dark tonal value, which is of the thigh. Too dark. Bring it back. Push it back. And a beautiful shiny light or line which is being reflected. It's the light reflected from the side of the lower leg here till where it connects with the bone structure here. And the foot itself a bit longer. And I want to show a little bit of strain that I was saying earlier on of the foot, which is keeping the balance of the body for not falling towards us. And here I can emphasize a little bit more than it's actually on the original picture, is that hip line here, or hip highlight. And then you have the index finger connecting with the upper thigh. There we have it. Okay, and I guess with a little bit of a stump, with the help of a stump, getting those lines slightly darker than what I've actually done here. So get some stump and separate the index finger from both fingers here, ring finger and middle finger. Okay, I'll stop the video and I'll do those changes with hyperlapse because it's now just basically rendering. Okay.